Hey Raider Nation, welcome back to another video. If you're new here and you love Raiders related content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's jump right into today's topic. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're talking about the Davante Adams situation. And yes, it's finally happening. The rumors are true. Over the past few years, every few months, we'd see some ESPN article predicting that Davante Adams might request a trade or that he wants to leave Vegas. But I never paid much attention to those stories because I thought they were just clickbait. But now, things have finally escalated to the point where Davante Adams has officially requested a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders. The team is now actively looking at trade offers for him. Honestly, I'm not completely surprised because there have been some hints that something wasn't right. In one of my recent videos, I mentioned that it was strange Davante wasn't suiting up for the game against the Cleveland Browns. The hamstring injury came out of nowhere, and it made me suspicious. If you look back at the offseason, I believe Davante was disappointed with our lack of aggression in securing a strong quarterback. Even during the preseason, there was a moment that seemed off. When asked if he wanted to play, Davante made it clear he wasn't interested. But then the coach, Antonio Pierce, said that if you're healthy, you have to play at some point in the preseason. The very next game, Davante suddenly had an injury, even though we hadn't heard anything about him being hurt before that. This made it seem like there was some tension between him and Pierce, but I didn't think too much about it at the time since it was just preseason. However, it might have contributed a bit to this situation. Still, I don't think that's the main reason Davante is asking for a trade. I think he's just frustrated with the quarterback situation here and wants to have a real shot at a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to compete for one anytime soon. We have too many gaps to fill on this team. So, for both Davante and the Raiders, it seems like a business decision. The Raiders need some draft capital to make big moves this offseason, and we need to address several key positions, especially on offense. Losing a talent like Davante will definitely hurt, and there's no easy way to replace him. But for him, this is also about his career. He wants to win now, and the current state of the Raiders isn't helping. And while the situation between Pierce and Davante didn't help, I believe it's more about Davante wanting to join a team that's ready to compete for a championship. After the third loss to the Panthers, Antonio Pierce came out and apologized, saying he doesn't want to be a distraction for the team. I appreciated that. It showed leadership. But then, literally 24 hours later, Pierce was caught liking a social media post discussing the Raiders potentially trading away Davante Adams. It's like, seriously? One day you say you don't want to cause drama, and the next you're all over social media fueling the fire. You've got to see things from Davante's perspective here. He recently talked about this on the Kane Adams show. They asked him how soon he heard from Pierce after the whole social media incident. His response? He hadn't heard a word from the coach. Davante said, "I haven't talked to him. I don't know what that was about. Obviously, social media is a beast, and people are wondering what's going on, reaching out. But I haven't spoken to anyone on the team since then. It's always some drama, but at the end of the day, 17 doesn't create any of it. I'm just keeping my head down, doing my thing, and letting the chips fall where they may." So, as you can see, there was no communication between Pierce and Davante Adams after that incident. It's not a good look for the head coach. And, like I mentioned before, the situation didn't help at all. The very next day, Davante officially requested a trade. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't like how Pierce handled all of this. Now, the entire NFL knows that we want to trade Davante Adams, and with the trade deadline just 2 weeks away, it's going to be tough to get a good deal. Ideally, we'd want a first-round draft pick for a player like him, but after this debacle, I think the Raiders have lost some leverage. I'm worried that the best we'll get now is a second-round pick, which doesn't really put us in the best position for next year's draft. It's a tough situation, and it feels like we could have managed it better to secure a stronger deal. At the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see how things unfold. With Davante officially requesting a trade, it puts the Raiders in a tough spot. If teams start lowballing us with third-round picks as the trade deadline approaches, the Raiders might be forced to make a move that's not ideal. It would be a shame if we can't get the draft capital we want for a player of his caliber. If we don't trade him, it's going to create a really awkward situation in the locker room. One of our best players has made it clear to the entire world that he doesn't want to be here anymore, and we've got Antonio Pierce liking Instagram posts that suggest we're interested in trading him. That would be a strange dynamic and could affect the team's morale. I don't like how Antonio Pierce handled this. If you're planning to trade Davante, fine, but keep it off social media and make your moves quietly. The last thing you want to do is let your competitors know your strategy. That's exactly what it feels like Pierce did here. But as I said, this is a business decision for both sides. Devonte Adams is a phenomenal player, and I loved seeing him in the silver and black. I hope he lands in a good situation where he can seriously compete for a Lombardi trophy. As for the Raiders, I hope we can get some solid draft capital in return. It's definitely going to be a challenging time for the Raiders, though. Losing our best weapon on offense won't be easy to overcome. Sure, we looked decent against the Cleveland Browns last week without Devontae, but that was just one game. Over the course of an entire season, we're definitely going to feel his absence. If we end up trading him, our offense will rely even more on how well we can run the ball. So, Raider Nation, those are my thoughts on the Devontae Adams situation. Let me know in the comments below what you think we could get for him in a trade. If you're new to the channel and you love Raiders-related content like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's all for today's video, Raider Nation. I'll see you in the next one.